Hey guys, Megan here from MeetEdgar. We are going to get started in a couple minutes. We're going to wait a couple minutes because I think we have some more people trickling in. But I wanted to pop in a couple minutes early to introduce myself and also get to know who is here. So if you guys don't mind popping into the chat, it is on the right-hand side of your screen. Hey Julie, go ahead and say hi everyone. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I'm super excited to get some community building going on here as we go throughout the webinar. We're going to start in a couple of minutes, and how this is going to work is I'm going to go over kind of some philosophies behind why batching is so important and why it is such a fun way to do social media because it frees up your time to actually engage with your community. And then we're going to get into kind of the content loading part and finish up again with some more strategy. We're hoping to do this once a month here to be each other's accountability partners, to really sync up and be a community of small business entrepreneurs and solopreneurs who are committed to making sure social media is a part of your marketing strategy. So super excited you're here. Awesome. Hey, Kim. Hope New York City is staying warm right now. Southern California. We got a couple of California people here. Super excited to see you guys. Edgar is actually a remote company, and we have a couple of people out there too. They're saying the weather's pretty nice. Someone from the UK, super fun. Little fact, the founder of Edgar, Laura, is actually in the UK herself. Her husband's from over there. So they live over there right now too. So you're in good company. Hey Ben, what's up? Hope Canada's treating you well as well. So we'll get started in about 2 minutes here. Keep in the chat if you do have any questions. Like I said, we'll start out with some slides just about why batching matters, why it's so important in order to get a strong social media strategy, and then we will start the loading our content part. So to start here, I'm going to go ahead and share my slides here. So pardon the awkward little transition as the slides pop up here. Go ahead and let me know if you don't see those or if anything's coming up, but they should be showing for you now. Cool. Hey there, Deborah. ICPA. I've been hearing that the East Coast is getting crazy ice right now. I'm actually going to go there next week for a little bit of a skiing vacation. So hopefully it gets a little bit more snow and less ice. Cool. Thanks for letting me know those are sharing. So we're going to jump in here. Please keep the chat going. My colleague Maura is actually on with us as well, and she's going to be awesome at answering your questions as we go along if I miss any. But we're going to go ahead and get started with our social batching party. So the reason that this matters is because you guys have all created such amazing businesses and you've all created such great communities that you have this great why behind why your product or service exists. And this part is going to get you to that how, and it's going to get you to how you get that message out to the world, especially on these awesome free platforms that places like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram give us. So going into this a little bit, we have so much unpredictability in business, especially if you're running your own business or if you're a small team, that you don't know exactly when things are going to happen, how things are going to happen. Every day is different. So we want to make social media as predictable as possible. And batching your updates and using a schedule is a way to do that. So going along with this a little bit further here, we want to make sure that you're able to get all of those creative, great ideas out of your head, brain dump them into MeetEdgar, into your social media calendar to avoid this overwhelm that you feel on a daily basis when it comes to task switching, when it comes to all of this stuff that isn't supporting you working on your business, but that's taking away and being a time suck. So it is a big problem that a lot of us face here at Edgar. You know, this tool was actually created because our founder had that exact problem. She was finding she was spending way too much time marketing her educational business and not enough time actually working on the business. So she created a tool where she could batch her updates and have them send out automatically, freeing up her time to do the more important things in business. So you need to be having that plan. You know, that all telltale adage that if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So today we are going to plan not to fail by batching our updates. So going into this, it's kind of what I like to refer to as that Google Maps. If you're going somewhere in life, if you're getting in your car or if you're having your business plan set, you want to make sure you have directions to get there. You get into Google Maps, it gives you the road directions of where you're going to go, tells you how to avoid traffic, tells you the best turns to take. And this is a much better way of getting there than just kind of guessing and saying, I think this is the right turn. We'll see if I get there on time. Having this planned out and having social media as a part of your entire marketing strategy is a way to avoid those wrong turns. It's a way to avoid those road closures and actually make sure your content is getting into people's streams and getting into people's minds when you need it to. So as you're combing throughout this, we don't want social media to be something random too. And if you have had these random updates as you're going along, you know that it's not resonating with your community because you're not getting those consistent sort of touch points that are so important to keep your brand on top of mind for people. So when it really comes down to it, there are two things that we do on social media as marketers. One is going to be posting your original updates, your thought leadership, your curated content, all of that fun stuff. The other is those live interactions. And this is the stuff that is gold these days. This is the stuff that gets out there and gets your community actually having that personal relationship with you and actually gets people to become brand evangelists and get that word of marketing even stronger. So if you're doing both of these things in batches, it makes it so much easier for your business. So as we're starting to go throughout this in Edgar, we batch our updates into the library so they can send out, so that free time can then be spent actually interacting, getting the awesome engagement that your posts deserve. So I want you to start thinking as we start to get into our content batching party part about the buckets of posts you like to send out to your followers. Guys, no one wants to follow a feed that's just promotion after promotion, broadcast after broadcast. They want to follow a feed that's so robust and that has a lot of different types of updates to keep people interested. So you can set a calendar in Edgar, but to start here, just thinking about how you can make your feeds more and more robust with a calendar like this down below. You know, you're sending out your inspirational quotes on Monday morning to get people super excited for the week, to get that hashtag motivational Monday spirit going. Then maybe around lunchtime, you send them out a blog post because you know they're going to be eating their lunch. They want something to read. That's going to be what they want to connect with your brand with at that time. And then maybe in the evening, you ask a question to get your community chatting with each other after work to get that social aspect that they might be craving at that time. So you want to think about people's consumption habits. Everyone's audience is a little bit different, and we can go into how you can figure out the types of updates to send out through things like your Facebook Insights and Twitter Analytics in a minute as well. But think about the different types of updates you can send out and start experimenting. Social media is all about experimentation, guys. It is not something that's set in stone for everyone. There's no magic formula. So having categories in Edgar set and customizing these to match what your audience wants is the best way to connect with them. So if you're struggling to come up with categories, go ahead and pop into the chat, ask some questions amongst each other about what's worked well. Maura can offer some advice of what we find works well at Edgar as well. But these categories are going to be the first place you want to pop into in your Edgar account during our batching party today to really start to connect with your community. As we go along here, why batching really matters and what it is and isn't is going to be something important to understand. So batching social media or anything in your business really is not creating a consistent stream of work and just doing it over and over. This is not going to add more work to your day, and it's not going to add another task. What it is it's allowing you to get into a flow state. So it's allowing you to get into that deep work that is so important for creativity, which marketing is so full of. And it's allowing you to actually get in and write your updates all at once so you can stick with your brand voice, so you can have consistency with your brand voice and go deeper into connecting with your community. So you don't have to think about this as something that's going to add more to your day. It's actually going to be a task that's freeing up more time. So you can do this in a couple of ways. You can batch your updates maybe every month, every week, whatever works for you. And you can also take this into different areas of your business. So you don't just have to do this with social media. A lot of people I see here that we do have a podcaster here, Christiane, sorry if I mispronounced your name, Christiane, but a lot of people I know batch podcast episodes. There's this really awesome podcaster, Jenna Kutcher. She's also an Instagram sort of influencer who does batching with her podcast. And what she does is every Monday is her podcast day. And what she'll do is one Monday a month is going to be her brainstorm day. So she'll brainstorm topics, people she wants to get on her podcast, stuff like that. And Monday is dedicated just to brainstorming. She doesn't do any recording, anything like that on the first Monday. It's just going to be her brainstorm one. The second Monday of the month, what she does is she actually records a bunch of notes for all of her podcasts. She writes her scripts for all of her podcasts. She'll batch it out like 5 at a time. She'll do her interviews, stuff like that. The next Monday is going to be her editing day. So she's actually going to go in, edit it, put the final polishes, and she's doing all of this in batches so that it gets more efficient and she can free up her time and her space to get more creative with other parts of her business. So we're going to focus on this for social media today, but definitely take this into other areas of your business and take this into actually being able to say, okay, great. This is what each Monday is going to be for, and this is going to be the task within that I'm going to focus on, and it's going to free up so much of your time. So going a little bit further here, living one status update at a time is nothing that makes sense in the same way that baking one cookie at a time doesn't make sense. That is a lot of effort to do for one cookie. And I don't know about you, but I don't like to just eat one cookie at a time either. So doing this, it's kind of a way of thinking about it like a recipe. Your social media can be a recipe. And I'll get to some of your questions here in a minute too. I see them coming in. Thanks, guys. Keep them coming for sure. But what it's going to really help you do is, like any recipe, all of your ingredients can't be the same. Same within social media. You can't just make cookies with a carton of eggs or with just a bag of flour. You need it all. So with social media, thinking about this, you want to have different ingredients that goes into this batching session today too. So you want to do links to your own content. Don't forget, we want to drive so much traffic to your site, and we want people to get all of your valuable blog posts, get to your landing pages that you've optimized, all of that fun stuff. So think about ways you can link to your own content, like blog posts, videos, if you have a YouTube channel, podcasts, downloads if you've created some awesome PDFs or books or stuff like that. Other people's content. So remember, with that 80-20 rule that we like to follow in social media, being that 80% of your content should be more value-added content, stuff that entertains, educates people. 20% should be more promotional. Other people's content could be a part of that 80%. So you can curate other people's content, especially on a site like Twitter, where people love to get news. They love to get all of that great information. Curating all of this other content is awesome to get people to know you are an expert. You keep up in your industry. You are someone who wants to give them the best content, no matter where it comes from. So look for blogs, respected people within your industry to actually go ahead and do that. Yes, Clint, we will share the slides after our presentation. Actually, I'll put them up on our LinkedIn Skillshare site, and go ahead and put that link in here afterwards as well. But yeah, you can definitely grab these afterwards. Sharing wisdom, guys, get your quotes, your tips, your thought leadership stuff, because when it comes down to it, there is so much going on social media these days. And it is such a saturated network, no matter what industry you're in. But that doesn't mean there's not room for you, because you're the only one who is you out there. So put your own wisdom in there, put your own unique spin on your niche, and talk to people about why you're different. Your message is going to be different than the way someone else does. If you're a lifestyle blogger, you're not going to be saying the same things, even if you've both traveled to the same place. If you have a software business, again, Edgar has competitors out there, but we do things a little different. We have a different brand voice, and these things matter. So put your own personality and wisdom in there as well. And then don't forget about all of those important promotions too, to make sure that people are getting those great discounts and deals that you offer. So with all of this recipe sharing, just think about the different types of updates, and these become your categories that we were talking about. So going a little bit further, we want to make sure that you're educating, informing, entertaining, and promoting people. So as you're starting to load up your promotions, think about, for every promotion, that you're adding at least 3 to 4 other pieces of content in those categories. So sitting down and batching this out, if you're going to add 5 promotions to your promotional category and share that once a week, make sure you're also adding 5 quotes and 5 blog posts and 5 curated or video posts as well. So you can keep that mix going. And as you're batching it out, you don't get kind of lopsided in one category for the other. Going a little further here too, you can do this in a category-based system like Edgar is set up with when we're batching our content today. But you can also think about how a single piece of content can be broken up between those categories. So you can get an entire week's schedule for social media. So I was thinking about it. If you share a blog post that you wrote on Monday, just that blog post, a link to it, think about Tuesday, how you can ask a question about that topic. So you're supporting what you're talking about. You're getting that consistency within your community. Ask a question about that blog post, get your community talking. On Wednesday, then you can get a pull quote from within that article and share it out to your community. And that's a great way to get that text-only tip for people who might not have time to click through or who didn't see that click through on Monday, but they can still get that great knowledge and wisdom and great connection with your brand. Thursday, maybe share a call to action in order to get people to actually sign up for your newsletter around that blog post. Say, did you like this? Go ahead and sign up for my newsletter here. Share that promotional one then. And Friday, maybe try creating a graphic. Social media is such a visual place, guys. It is such a place where people like to connect with images, video, stuff like that, getting that personality out there. And you don't have to be a graphic designer to do this. You can pop into Canva. You can pop onto just your own iPhone's little camera. It doesn't have to be something that's polished. It can be something that is going to sorry, we had that on private, guys. Maura's going to go ahead and switch it over to public so we can kind of chat a little bit more there as well. And definitely keep the questions coming. I promise I'll go back when we're batching the content and answer them too if Maura hasn't gotten to them. But guys, think about how one piece of content can actually be broken up and upcycled to share throughout the week to get your consistent message across, but to get it across in different forms so people can consume it in the way they like to consume it. So going along more, your content can go so much further if you repurpose it like we were just talking about. And if you're struggling to come up with this kind of concept in your head, what I like to think about it is the seed, sprout, pollinate concept. So you're going to take a long form blog post and make it into a 15-second video, or you're going to make it into a story or a transcript that you can pull out pull quotes from and share with a picture on Instagram. And doing this for the first few times, if you're nervous how it's going to resonate, use those story features on Instagram to test it out. They're only there for 24 hours. It's a great way to get comfortable on video. It's a great way to get all of that connection going in order to actually test out what type of content your community wants to see. Let's see, what do we have here? Do you have an experience of whether it is more efficient to share on pages, groups, on Facebook, or both? And would you recommend more or less posts in one or the other? Great question. Everyone's audience is different. Groups are becoming more and more powerful these days just because creating a sense of community on social media is where it's at. That community building aspect of groups is where people are connecting with each other. And it's where you're getting people to believe in your story, to believe in your product or service more and more. However, it is effective still to share on pages. Again, curated content, your own blog posts, getting people emotionally connected with an inspirational quote or something like that is still a really great place to be. If you do have a group, I would suggest posting more questions to your group than anything. Again, getting that interaction between group members is awesome, but interaction on any post is what Facebook algorithm especially is looking for, that meaningful connection there. So definitely test out. Everyone's audience is different, but with groups especially, make sure you're keeping consistent questions. Like you can have a tip Tuesday and share a tip and then ask a question about that tip on Wednesday, stuff like that. So you're training your community to know what type of content is coming when, so they're really ready to engage with it. So sharing the same core message can feel kind of funny in the same way that we're getting used to recycling our social media content. Sharing the same core message can feel a little bit weird because you're like, I'm sharing the same thing over and over when I start to batch my content and when I start to actually share it. Sorry, it looks like the slide got a little bit wonky there, but essentially what I want this to go ahead and convey is it's okay to share that same core message and to become that expert within your niche about that one thing. What we like to say here at Edgar is you can start with 3 pillars of what you're really good at and build your content around that. And it's okay if you're saying the same thing over and over in different ways, because when it comes down to it, it takes about 7 touch points for someone to actually have a brand loyalty with you and to actually get that affinity for your brand. And sharing the same message might hit someone with a different type of video content or a different type of video, like I said, video or a different language or headline within your blog post might actually attract someone's attention differently than someone else's. So test out different headlines. You know, here at Edgar, one of the ways we get even more status updates and optimize our headline is we brainstorm around 10 to 20 different headlines that could go with our blog post or video. And from there, we end up with the best headline for the blog post. But those extra ones, we're going to waste a time because we can use them as status updates to introduce that blog post at a different time. Again, because you never know what language is going to speak to someone, or you never know when they're going to have actual time to go on in and actually engage with that blog post. Maybe they were driving when they saw it the first time, or maybe they were walking into a meeting and they didn't have time to click through with it. So think about ways you can repurpose that same concept in different areas to attract different members. So start with 3 pillars is kind of what we're talking about here at Edgar. We talk a lot about social media, obviously. We're also a remote company, so we write a lot about remote work and best practices around small business teams who are distributed. And it's great, especially for our community, because I know a lot of you are a distributed team or a team of one. So getting these efficiency ways that we're able to connect with is something we also write about. And then efficiency in general, automation in general, and whether it's around Edgar or other business tools we use. Those are kind of our 3 main pillars, and our content kind of steps out from those. We might talk about the same thing over and over in different ways, hoping that it connects with our community in all of these different ways. So it's okay to share the same core message over and over again for sure. If you're struggling a little bit to come up with your pillars, I want you to also start to ask yourself some questions here. Like, what's something that you've done differently than anyone else in your industry? That's going to be a gold mine for you to talk about because you're niching it out and you're connecting with people in a different way than anyone else, getting your thought leadership to stand out. What's a big change that happened in your industry recently? Go ahead and actually go in and think about how this change can be talked about to your community so you're keeping them up to date on all of the most recent things going on. What's a recent experience you learned something from? This one's huge. Do you have an efficiency routine in the morning that you can share, even if it's not related to your product or service? This is value you can add to your community. It's getting people a little bit of a behind the scenes look into your business. And sharing our successes and failures and becoming real people on social media is going to connect with your community so much. So think about your successes, failures. These things are awesome at connecting. And what advice do you have for the reader about your blog? You know, how should they consume it? What do you think about it? Think about these ways that you can actually start to get in your industry, but niche it out to a way that your content is different from everyone else's. So think about this as a practical way that you can go ahead and share content, or a philosophical way you can share content. So it's like, how do you do this thing? Or how do you think about this thing? And these types of questions that you're asking yourself around the pain points your product or service is going to solve are huge for creating that content. So going in a little more, now we start the instructions. Say you have 6 categories that you're starting out with. So these can be the predetermined ones that Edgar actually has for you, or again, everyone's audience is different. So go ahead and make sure you're connecting with your audience. Think about these categories. If you're starting out new, if you have 6 of them that you routinely share from, how this is going to break down is if you're starting out, you could post 3 updates a day, 5 days a week. It's a pretty good number to start out with if you're not sure about how much to share, if you don't have that data from your Facebook Insights or Twitter analytics yet. Go ahead and start with this. That means that you are starting out with 15 updates a week. Doing that math, that's 60 updates a month that you're going to make. So if you have 60 updates a month, when it comes to our content batching parties, and we are going to be doing these on a monthly basis, that boils down to just having to add 10 updates per category per month to have fresh content in it. And this is a way to slowly start building up your library. And guys, remember, the power of Edgar does come in with that evergreen content, being able to reshare it and resurface it for your new followers, as well as those who didn't see it the first time to see. So you can then start to add more and more time slots to your schedule or create more categories once you build up your library over a few months. But this makes it so much more manageable. Remember, 6 categories, all it takes is coming to these content loading parties once a month and adding 10 updates to them. And then you're going to have a month's worth of fresh content there. So once a month, writing 10 updates per category, finding 10 blog links from your blog to add with a different headline, thinking up 10 interesting tips, thinking up 10 interesting curated blog links that you found throughout the week or throughout the month. All of these things can be done in batches of 10, sitting down for an hour or two, cranking that out, and you are set for the month, freeing up your mind to actually create more creativity within your business. So you want to start curating a really deep understanding of why, what, and who you are serving to filter your updates through when you're writing them. So especially kind of going back to that question about what to share where, stuff like that, you want to practice conscious sharing and make sure your updates aren't just broadcasting, but actually creating a sense of community. So ask yourself, is this actually going to be helpful for my target audience? Don't just post things to post them for posting's sake. That's not going to get you a really strong tribe out there. What that's going to get you is random followers who aren't interested in engaging with you. So ask this, is this just serving my ego posting this, or is this actually serving my community? And kind of filter it through to get those meaningful relationships. Is this authentic with my brand? Is this on brand? Is this actually speaking to my audience persona? If you haven't developed a persona yet, that can also make things really helpful of thinking about an actual person with a name and age, pain points that your product or service can help them solve, so that when you're actually going into this, you can create these spaces where people are connecting and saying, oh my gosh, they're speaking right to me, and your content becomes that much more relevant. When you're writing your status updates today, I also want you to kind of think about that one person and write them to that one person. Don't write them to your whole community. Don't broadcast just to everyone. Write them specifically to who your product or service is going to be for, because when people are scrolling through, that's what they're going to see. They're one person. They want that status update to speak right to them. So know the goal of your content, know if it's there to create community, drive sales, and practice that all-important 80-20 rule. So guys, it is about just getting started now. It is just about testing your content. Don't overthink it too much. Actually getting in here, coming to these parties, being a part of our accountability community here, and making sure that you're giving people a reason to keep following your pages, sharing your personality, and getting advice from other people is a great, great thing. And as we're writing our updates today too, remember, people buy from people online. They don't buy from services or brands. They want to have an actual human-to-human connection. So think about the ways you can share your personality, whether it be snapping, like I said, a photo of yourself, actually celebrating a success in your business, or sharing a failure so your community can learn from you, or snapping a photo of you with your product to show that human connection, so that people, when they're trusting and forking over their money, are actually doing so to a person. Think about it. If your product or service is $100, that's not something easy someone wants to give up to just a blank screen on a website. They want to know and trust the person they're giving their money to. And social media is a great way to build that trust. So think about ways you can personalize your updates and tap into that human side. So our first updates we are going to add today, I want you to focus around is the creation story. So this is something that's so important in order to connect with your community. People need to know where you're from. Think about your social skills and life in general. What do you ask the first thing you ask to people? Where are you from is usually one of the first questions. We want to orient ourselves in space and time. So think of the creation story of your product or service, and think about how you can use this as a social media update. So this here is Edgar's creation story. This is our founder, Laura, and her family. And this could be a status update we share on Instagram or Facebook. Something that is going to connect you with a real person about why this business was created. And you can feel good about actually subscribing to something that has people behind it. So here, as I mentioned before, Edgar was created by someone who needed it herself. Her husband was a developer, so helped her with the tech side. She is a really awesome marketer, so she knew the power of repeating your evergreen content to connect with your community. And she created this service for you to load up your status updates and to actually have them send out when your community is online. And sharing a little bit about her personal family and about this personal side of her story is a great way, again, to get people's trust level in that all-important know, like, and trust factor to skyrocket. So going along here now, we want you to go ahead and think about your creation story, guys. So pop on in here, and if you're having trouble thinking of your creation story, use each other in this community to test it out. Go ahead and share your creation story here and get some feedback from others in the room if it resonates with them, what you could tweak, stuff like that. And from there, once you have your initial creation story, we can start to batch it out into different types of updates. So again, once you have that main update, let's go ahead and upcycle that into 10 different updates so that you can reshare your creation story in different ways with different language, whether it be just small snippets, whether it be a longer form one. Remember, people do read a lot, especially on Instagram. Test out adding like a couple paragraphs to Instagram content once in a while. That kind of long form stuff is doing better and better these days. So go ahead and think about your creation story and think how you can piece it out to tell it a couple times to go ahead and recycle it in Edgar. Something else I'm going to do here real quick is go ahead and share go ahead and share some Social Brilliant status updates. No, that's not what I want to do. That is actually from a book that our founder, Laura, actually wrote. It's called Social Brilliant, and she has a great, great way of explaining all of this. So I'm going to share these in the chat right now. Here we go, Social Brilliant ebook. So this ebook here, go ahead and download it if you want, is a great way to kind of create your creation story. And it goes throughout how to break that creation story up into a lot of different kind of batches. And another way that I would love for you guys to use this is, of course, we want you to batch things out in Edgar. Adding it to your library is a really easy way to do this. But if you're on the road a lot or have a lot of free time and you're trying to think about different ways to create your blog posts and stuff like that, this handout that I'm going to share as well, this blog post breakdown one, is a great way to start brainstorming those different headlines, brainstorming those different topics. And again, this batching that we're doing today for your status updates can be taken into your content creation, can be taken into other areas of your business. So think about the ways you can batch actually creating a calendar of topics that you can use for your blog posts, stuff like that. So go ahead and get those resources if they're going to be helpful for you. Again, start sharing all of those great little creation stories that you're coming up with. Use your community to go ahead and get all of those awesome feedbacks. So as you're starting to write out your creation story a little bit here, I'm going to pop into the next thing that goes along really well with the creation story when it comes to batching your content, and that is your value-based post. So guys, as we're starting to batch our content today, I want you to think about the values your company has. Edgar's values are choosing kindness, taking ownership, and value for value. So those are our internal values that guide all of our decisions when it comes to our business. But we also want to make sure that we're sharing these types of values with our community to get one really great community going. So defining, understanding, and communicating your mission within your team, whether it's just you or whether it's a few people, is really important, obviously, for the internal side of your business to work really well. But it's also really important to share these things with your entire social media community so that they can know your business as a whole. So what I'd love for you to do is start thinking about the values your company holds and start actually producing updates around those and using that as a lens to filter every single status update that you're writing today through, so that, again, people are buying more and more on value-based systems these days, especially millennials, younger people. They want to know the company that they're buying from has good values and is in line with their morals and stuff like that. So think about the values your company holds and how you can actually create a creation story and your other updates around these values. And think about maybe a small tagline that you can use to go ahead and kind of sum this up. Like for us, we have a tagline, social media without the time-wasty parts. Why this is really great is because it gets our brand voice in there. We are goofy, we are fun, we are kind of a sarcastic brand a lot of the time, and that time-wasty part is right on our brand voice with that. And it's also going for that taking ownership and value for value. You guys have trusted us with your money, and we are going to provide you the value of time back. So you can see how our brand values are right in line with that sort of tagline, and we use this in our social media and in our marketing everywhere. So think about maybe a small slogan that you can come up with that you can use in order to get your values across as well. All right, so guys, have you been able to come up with your creation story, and have you started to kind of brainstorm on that and how you can add your values and stuff with that? Let us know if you're having trouble with it. Maura and I can help you brainstorm stuff like that as well. As you're starting to do this, again, with that brand voice, what I was just speaking to with that value slide, keeping that brand voice in mind with every status update you write is so important, as well as generating different headlines, as we were talking about, to introduce your blog posts with is really fun too. So for Twitter specifically here, you can see this is an awesome status update that I believe Maura herself probably wrote. And it's pretty goofy, again, how to use hashtags, all hashtagged out. Here's a hint, that's not the way. Try this instead. It's so much of a great way to be able to say, okay, I get this brand and they're offering me all of this value. So think about ways that you can take your brand voice into your status updates, stuff like that. Now, guys, Twitter I want to talk about for batching especially because we do have something called variations in Edgar. And I'm going to put out a poll here real quick. How many of you, if you guys can go ahead and answer this, how many of you have actually gone out and used the Edgar variations feature? So I'm sharing a poll right there now. If you guys can go ahead and use that. Have you guys used that feature at all? Okay, cool. So we do need some people who want some help using it. So guys, what I'm going to go ahead and do is share my screen to our Edgar account here real quick. So again, pardon the kind of awkward little screen share that's going to happen here. Cool. Is my screen coming through there? Can you see the Edgar account on it right there? I'm going to pop in and see here. Yes? Okay, great. So this is an Edgar account, and how variations work is Twitter does have a term of service that says you can't use the same tweet to send out to the same Twitter account more than once anymore. So batching for Twitter is super important because you need to create different variations to reshare that evergreen content. So if I'm going to add a tweet for Twitter here, you can notice if I'm going to say a test for Twitter, that you have this little add variation button here. So what happens with this is when I click to add a variation, a second text box pops up where I can go ahead and vary what I'm saying so I can stay in line with Twitter's terms of service, but still recycle my evergreen content, still be able to connect with my community and give them that information. So all you have to do for the second variation is vary test for Twitter, is add in some variation. Now, Twitter's spirit in introducing that term of service was really to keep it an authentic network where people aren't just bot spamming everywhere, but to keep that human-to-human connection going. So I want you to think about this as an opportunity to actually go in line with that spirit to authentically connect in different ways with your community. So every time this post comes up in the rotation based on your schedule that you set here, Edgar is going to send one of these variations out, and then he'll automatically expire it, so you don't have to worry about doing anything for that to expire. The next time this whole post is up in the rotation in your posts, Edgar will share the next variation, again, making sure you can reshare that content, but still stay in line with their terms of service. So you can do this manually like we did here. If you do have a URL in this and you are adding manual variations, make sure you copy and paste the URL from each variation to the next. But one of my favorite things to actually do with a URL in this section, let me go ahead and pull a blog post here. So this is from our blog, but this could be from your blog, anyone else's blog. And you'll notice if you have a URL in this section here, for the variations feature, you can actually auto-generate variations. So when I click to auto-generate variations, what happens is Edgar is automatically going to pull out 5 different pull quotes from within that article. And it's a great way to get that awesome consistency of adding different variations to reshare your blog posts, but to stay in line with that without doing the extra work. Edgar's a pretty smart guy there. So go ahead and test out that auto-generate variations, especially for your blog posts. It is so helpful. I know we use it here at Edgar to save us so much time. And again, how these are working is on your schedule, how you have this set up here. Every time Edgar is going to hit a blog post here or whatever type of content you have here, he's going to share that content, put it to the end of the line and move along. Next time he hits this, he'll pull the next update from that category in your library, put it to the end of the line and move along, and work his way through all of those pieces of content. Again, for Twitter, he has to expire it right away. So the next time, once Edgar works his way through all of that content, and once he's starting from the top again, he'll still have something to pull because you've added those variations in. So guys, for Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, Edgar will automatically go ahead and recycle the same updates you add. You don't have to worry about adding variations in for those, but you most certainly can. If you wanted to test out different language, stuff like that, you can use that variations feature for all of the networks there. So definitely test it out. And a great workflow I like to recommend, especially as we're batching content, is in the library here. If you see an expired for Twitter content here, but you want to reshare this, you can always edit it and add in other variations. Or what I like to suggest doing is maybe setting a once a week or once a month batching party for your Twitter variations. And you can use these filters to go ahead and filter the Twitter account over here. And this last filter that says has publishable variations, you can go ahead and filter that to no. And it'll populate everything in your library and sort your library for stuff that's completely expired for Twitter, at which point, if you'd like to reshare it, go ahead and click the edit button here and go ahead and actually add in those other variations. So as you're going ahead and doing this, you are going to see that you have a lot of opportunity to connect with your community in different ways. Cool. So let me pop back over here, pop in any questions here. What do we have? Is there a way to see the content that has expired in one location? Yeah, so those are going to be those filters that we were chatting about, Christiane. So again, here on this MeetEdgar section in the library, just use that has publishable variations filter in the library down here and go ahead and choose no. And that'll show you all of the content that has no more variations for you to go in, edit, and add more. We also send you an email when variations from a certain category are getting low. But also remember, setting yourself that batching party for variations is a great way to make sure that doesn't get lost. Cool. So I'm going to go back to my slides here. Oh, hey, that's a big one. And kind of jump right back into where we were with the slides, but keep your questions going if you do have other questions about the variations or anything like that. So keeping your brand voice in mind as you do everything. As you go, oh, what do we have here, Linda? But how does it space it? If I have many Twitter posts in there, how does it decide when to, good question. So how those time slots on the schedule are working is a last in, first out order. And the last in, first out order is allowing to make sure that you have enough content in your categories. But if you don't have time to add anything, Edgar's still going to recycle through. And I'm going to pop this right into the chat here. That is from our Help Center doc about how variations work. And that last in, first out order is for the whole post. So when that whole post is up in the rotation of your post, Edgar pulls the last variation you added and sends that out first. Then the whole post goes to the end of the line in that category. The next time that whole post is up next, he'll send the next variation and expire it for Twitter and put it down. So your variations aren't going to go out back to back unless that's the only piece of content in that category. So you don't have to worry about that at all, but definitely check out this Help Center article that I put there. It explains that. It's kind of easier to see in writing. We have a good little writing on it there that's really nice and easy to see. And I'm also going to share right here some really great tips from our blog on how to get creative and actually come up with those different types of content. Cool. So next thing that we can batch out is our inspirational posts. As inspirational posts come up, it is sometimes thought of as content that's a little bit more soft, and you're like, this doesn't really relate to my business, stuff like that. But guys, if someone is emotionally connecting to you and saying, oh, cool, this company just brought a smile to my face, that's an emotional connection that is really hard to beat. And we think we're logical as humans, but truth be told, we purchase on the fact of emotions way more than we like to think. So having emotional connections and actually sharing kind of some inspirational quotes is a really great way to get that community building going. So if people like you, if you have a lot of things you say in your business a lot, why not share those things as actual quotes? So you can see here on one of our Instagram quotes, this is something that is around efficiency, because remember, that's one of the pillars that MeetEdgar likes to share from. And this is a quote from our founder, Laura. She says, the secret to making anything happen is that you have to decide to do it. Not want it, not hope for it, decide with full commitment and knowing that it will be so. So this does not lead back to our site. This has nothing really that's salesy about it. But it is in line with what we do here at Edgar. We are go-getters in the small business world, just like you guys are. And it's about just deciding to do, getting out there, testing things on social media. And it's a great way to share our thought leadership around that with like-minded community like you guys. So I would go ahead and think about the ways that you can think on your own inspirational quotes that you can add to get some of your brand awareness out there, but also go out and search different quotes in your industry, Brainy Quotes, that website, or just Googling, quotes around XYZ or inspirational quotes and adding them to your library so you can get some more diversity in your feed, as well as, again, getting that emotional connection going. So if you are having trouble coming up with different types of quotes out there, let us know what industry you're in, and we can kind of do some Googling together here as well and start to add those as quotes. Again, you can do these as text only, especially to like Twitter, stuff like that, or go ahead and hop into a free program like Canva, and you can actually type those out on a really beautiful background and upload those as an image in Edgar. Cool. Anita, what do we have? I have a blog blurb written, my own version, so I want to delete the ones already expired as my variations are already in my content category. Can I just delete those that say Twitter expired? Yeah, you can use the delete button. In the library as well, we have a bulk edit section that you can bulk delete as well. So let me go ahead and switch over here real quick. So in the library here, of course, you can always delete a post with this delete section, or what I suggest doing is in this bulk edit section here, you can go ahead and go on in and sort your library by a certain category or by like the publishable variations no filter to go ahead and sort everything that doesn't have publishable variations in it. You can click this update button here. And guys, this feature is awesome for a lot of different things like switching content categories, adding or removing account connections in one swoop from these upper level social icons, stuff like that. And that's, again, from the library. Just hit that bulk edit button in the upper right corner. Or you can bulk delete, scroll down, and delete all of them at once. So I definitely don't recommend deleting content super often, because this is also a way you can keep a record of what's already been sent out to Twitter to help you stay in line with those terms of service. So it doesn't hurt just to add in new variations, but you can definitely go ahead and delete old ones. And you can also use like your bulk import tab here. And if you have a spreadsheet of content, this import section is where you can go ahead and import that. It's super simple setup. The first column in the spreadsheet is just what you want in your status update. The second column is the category you'd like it to go into. And upon uploading it, Edgar will prompt you for the account connections. Within the categories here, if you are bulk uploading, making sure that everything within this category name, capitalization and spacing and stuff is exactly the same on that spreadsheet. But it's a great way to get a bunch of variations into Edgar at once as well. Cool. Let's see. Oh, Linda, it looks like I didn't answer your question fully. Got it on the spacing. That's not what I did not understand. Uh-oh, sorry. It looks like I might have misunderstood your question. If you want to type it out again, I'm happy to take another look. Sorry about that. Yeah, keep your questions coming. I'm going to scroll back through. I promise if Maura hasn't gotten to all of them either. Cool. So back to these slides for a little bit here. Inspirational quotes, going out and Googling these, adding 10 of them to your content, stuff like that is a great, great way. Okay, great, Linda. Thanks for that little update. Is a great way to connect emotionally with your community. So guys, think about the things you say a lot. Think about the inspiration that you could use on a Monday morning, stuff like that. Questions, guys. Focus on questions as you're loading your content today. You want to ask simple, short questions to get the most responses. You want to go ahead and ask these questions in a way that your community really wants to engage with them, because that meaningful connection and those comments between people is what the algorithm is looking for and what it's going to reward. So go ahead and add 10 questions to Edgar today as well. And I want you to think about different questions that might not necessarily have to do with your product or service either. You know, we ask a lot of questions about, you know, what books are you reading right now? Stuff like that, just to help get recommendations for the community And if you're finding that there are a lot of crickets out there when you're asking questions, just persevere through. I promise that you're going to get some answers soon if you're doing the right thing of building a community who likes to speak through each other. Other things you can do is, ask for emoji answers. People love using short emojis if they don't want to type it out for sure. Poll-like questions do well. People don't have to think that much as they're scrolling through their feed. They can type one word. But it is really that conversation that is going to get your community built so much more. So think about the ways that you can add some questions, and think about the questions and answers that people would actually want to discuss between people. You can ask questions about your blog content too, thinking about saying, hey, what did you think about this section? This is our thought, stuff like that. So think about questions you can add. This is a huge category. Definitely don't neglect it. And adding 10 questions a month is not that hard of a thing to do. You can even Google questions. I know I've done that before. You can Google business questions. Best interview questions to ask are another fun one to go ahead and Google to get some questions to add to your account. You can come up with some really creative ones out there on like Googling icebreaker questions for a first date. I know it sounds weird, but it's a great way to add those types of questions to get to know each other on social media. Curated content. So as you can see here, curation is really something we focus on in Edgar on our categories. So you want to curate content in order to say, okay, you know what? Now that you follow my Twitter account, you don't have to go out and Google or follow an RSS feed, because I'm going to be giving you all of this awesome industry content. So think about the ways you can curate awesome content to attract new followers. So you can see here, we share a lot of content around social media, obviously, because we want to keep you guys nice and up to date on the social world. So we say things like, again, asking questions amongst our curated content. You can see this one on the left says, who else was intrigued by LinkedIn's live streaming announcement? We can go ahead and get you that information, but also start to connect and have some of that community building aspect. Other ways to connect with other brands is really great is actually tagging them in it, building that goodwill. If you're sharing content from another community member, it is more likely that they'll share your content in the future if you tag them in it. Building community amongst different businesses in your industry is really fun too. So if you're having trouble thinking about the different things you can share, go ahead and put your industry in the chat over here. We can brainstorm some different blogs that are really great. You can add those in as RSS feeds. Have you guys used the RSS feed reader? Go ahead and type into the chat box if you need help looking at that RSS feed reader. I'll go ahead and pop in there now as well. Cool. All right. People are using it. Awesome. Can you talk about extra step? Yes. So Betty, so Instagram these days is done with push notifications through Edgar. We are waiting for approval from Instagram to get direct posting. So hopefully that will come soon. All right, we'll go into the RSS feed here in a minute too. Let me go ahead and share my screen here again so we can look at Instagram and the RSS feeds real quick. So with the Instagram steps, you're adding your content and you're scheduling it in the exact same way you do for other pieces of content. So when you click add new content here, go ahead and connect your Instagram account. You can upload photos from your computer here. So you click on that photo icon, you go ahead and click to go ahead and add that photo in the exact same way. You can upload 10 photos if you wanted to use like that carousel feature, or you can even upload photos that you'd like to use in your Instagram stories to Edgar. So go ahead and upload your photo or photos, type out whatever you'd like here in this box. So go ahead and type out your caption. Really nice not having to get those thumbs super tired. Connect it to Instagram and save it to your library in the same way. Same with scheduling. You're scheduling this in the same way here. So as you're making your time slots, you're going to make sure your time slots are connected to Instagram. So if I wanted to share an Instagram post here, I'm going to go ahead and check off my MeetEdgar Instagram, and I'm going to go ahead and select the category. So you can see with our categories, we name it IG at the start so that when we're scheduling and when we're adding it, it's really easy to find. You don't have to do this, but it's a great way if you're curating different types of content for Instagram than your other networks. You're going to go ahead and select what type of post it is and save this as a time slot in the same way. So what's going to happen then is when an Instagram post is ready to come up, you can also always see these in your queue here, when an Instagram post is ready to send. So It's going to send, so Thursday, February 14th at 9 a.m. is our next one. When this sends, what happens is a push notification comes to your phone. You're going to swipe to view it, at which point the text is automatically going to be copied to your phone or iPad's clipboard. You don't have to do anything there. The pictures will automatically be copied to your camera roll. You don't have to do anything there. Upon tapping to open Instagram from the MeetEdgar app, you'll see you can choose to post it to your story or you can post it to your feed. All you need to do is locate the photo on your camera roll. It'll be the first one in there. All you're going to do is tap to paste the text. So just tap on the little text box in Instagram, choose the paste option, and your text will automatically be there. And you can choose any filters and post from there. So if you aren't near your phone at the exact second that notification comes through, guys, do not worry. It'll still be there. Just open your Edgar app on your phone or iPad, and you can post it when it's more convenient. So no texting and no Instagramming while driving, it'll still be there. But it's a great way to batch out your Instagram updates, to type at them all out and get them in there and schedule them the same way. As you're doing this too, I'm sure a lot of you know this, but I wanted to point out that scheduling an Edgar with that evergreen content on your schedule is a great way to resurface your posts, but we also have options to schedule one-off posts and holiday posts. So as you're adding content, if you have content like a Happy Valentine's Day post, speaking of, you can also schedule that. How you're going to do that is when you click to add content here, go ahead and mark the post as use once. And that means once Edgar sends this update out once, he'll automatically expire it. You can then see next to the Save to Library button here, you can click on this arrow and you have an option that says Schedule, Send, and Save. So when you schedule, send, and save that, you can put a day and time. So if I wanted this to be for Valentine's Day, I'm going to go to Thursday the 14th. You can click on Finish here. Oops, Instagram has to have a photo, but go ahead and schedule, send, and save it. And if this is populated here, Edgar's going to hold this post and he's not going to post it until the day and time you put in there is reached, at which point he'll post it out to whatever networks are connected over here on the left. If use once is checked off, he'll then automatically retire it. It'll still live in your library, but it'll be having that little expiration tag on it. If use once is not checked off and you use that feature, he's going to put it to the end of the line in whatever category you've assigned it to, and it'll go back in your rotating schedule. So for Instagram, you can schedule your evergreen content on the schedule here, adding it the same way using those push notifications, or you can schedule your one-off holiday or one-off promotional posts on the add content level themselves, and that'll work both ways for Instagram. So as we are here today, let's see, as we are here today, let's look at the import feature real quick. And this is where you can add in your RSS feed. So when I was talking about curating content, this makes it super duper quick. If you haven't done this yet, you can add your own or you can add other people's RSS feeds. And it's super simple. So if I wanted to go ahead and add in all of the MeetEdgar blogs, I'm just going to put our URL. It's under this import tab into this section here. And I'm going to click on Find RSS Feed. Edgar is going to say, great, there's an RSS feed attached to this URL. What category would you like these to go into? What accounts would you like these to have permission to go out to? And then from here, you have two choices. One is to send these directly to your library, which means that they're going to go right into the library and be eligible to go out in the rotation year posts. Edgar will pull in whatever's attached to it. Typically on most blogs, this is between 10 to 25 past posts. And then every 24 hours, Edgar's going to check whatever feeds you've added. And if a new post has been released within that time frame, he'll pull that over. So if it's a blog you trust or your own blog that's going to be relevant no matter what time of year, go ahead and send it directly to your library. Or what I always suggest doing for other people's content is sending it to your pending queue. So what this does is in the library here, your pending content queue here is going to be the section where you can approve or reject this. So nothing from this pending section here is going to send out until I approve it into my library. I can reject it if I decide it's not going to add a lot of value to my community, or I can edit it first if I wanted to add in some variations first, or if I wanted to alter what it says here. So you can see what the RSS feeds bring in is the title as well as the URL here. And again, pending content is a great way. You know, a lot of people will use this, especially us here at Edgar. You can see we have a lot of feeds added here, and we kind of use this like a Feedly, where we just set a batching task for ourselves to go in once a week, to go in and actually approve, edit, and reject what's in our pending content to keep our curated content fresh. So that is going to be the RSS feed section. And I hope you guys have been adding some content if you've already used that here. And let's see, when you add an RSS feed, does Edgar automatically tweet the blog link and pull a quote? So he's not automatically going to add those variations in. If you send it to your pending queue or the library, if you wanted to get more variations in, you will have to do that. What he pulls in is the title of the blog post. So you can see here what he'll go ahead and tweet. If you send these directly to your library, what's going to go out the next time this category is on your schedule is the title of the blog post and the URL, and he'll automatically send that out. So this will be seen as the freshest content that was added to that category. So the next time that category is on your schedule, that would be the first update to send out. So he'll do all of that automatically if you send them directly to your library. But for that variations feature, specifically for Twitter, you would have to go in and edit it and add in those. So, and if you guys are having trouble, it looks like you're chatting about with the notifications and stuff, Linda, go ahead and email support@meetedgar.com. And we can give you some steps to reset the app, as well as make sure your notifications are on and stuff. And that goes for all of you. If you're having trouble with the Instagram app, go ahead and email support@meetedgar.com if we don't figure it out here today with Maura and I. And we can have some troubleshooting team people take a look at it as well to make sure that's working properly for you. So curated content, the RSS feeds is really awesome. Oh, shoot, you know what? One more thing. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again here, because on this curated content, I want to show you one of my favorite features of Edgar, which is our extension. So this is our blog here. However, this could be your blog. You could be going out on the industry news, stuff like that. And you'll notice right up here in my toolbar, I have this little MeetEdgar icon. Guys, this is awesome, and I'll put the link where you can download this. But what you're going to do is if you're browsing the web and you wanted to add an article, all I need to do is click on this, and it's going to bring up the Add New Content screen right on this blog post. So from here, all I need to do is check off the accounts I want this to go out to. You can see here it automatically populates the headline of the blog post and the URL. You can type in anything else if you'd like to add in your own text. Choose the category of the type of post it is, and you can save it to your library right from here, and you don't have to do that copying back and forth. So as you're curating content, definitely grab this extension. Let me go ahead and put this in. This is in our help center here, but I'll put it in the chat right now. So if you haven't grabbed that, definitely grab it. It is such a time saver for curated content stuff. Cool. So back to presentation mode. Keep the questions coming for sure. And as we're curating our content and batching it into Edgar as well, something else I like to say you can keep an eye on or create a category in is FAQs. So you guys all probably get emails from customers, clients, people asking about your service or product, or you have a support team who fields these questions. Use that knowledge to create some how-to guides. This is going to be a gold mine because people are letting you know their pain points. They're letting you know their hurdles to purchasing right there in your inbox. And if you're not taking advantage of what people are asking, remember, if one person's asking it, there's likelihood that there are 10 more out there thinking and just not wanting to ask you. You know, we live in such a self-serving society right now that people just want to get the information a lot of the time. So make sure you're using this to speak to the pain points and the hurdles from people are having when it comes to buying from you. So keep a list of your most frequently asked questions and think about how you can turn this into valuable content, whether it be some how-to tips or whether it be some of you just hopping on a video and connecting and explaining some of the hurdles when it comes to buying from your business. If you can hop on a video and explain these things, it is so powerful to be able to have that eye-to-eye connection with someone on social media and getting those questions answered. So start banking these topics that you see come up over and over in your inbox, over and over on like review pages of your site, stuff like that, and create some social media updates around that. So as you start to create sort of that once a month batching, content section, what I want you to do is come up with one more FAQ you can add to that category to start to answer people's questions and pain points. Because guys, you need to talk right to your followers. Something that comes naturally to you and you think maybe isn't something you need to discuss might not be the same thing for your ideal community. So listen, listen, listen. Speaking to your community is going to make you stand out so much more on social media. So you can see here, we do that. I'm an onboarding coach here, so I do a lot of calls with you guys. And one of the questions I get over and over is, when the heck should I post on social media? So we write blog posts about that because we have feedback mechanisms where Maura and I talk a lot, where the rest of the company talks a lot about these common questions and how we can solve these pain points for you guys. So using all of that kind of information, it's a great way to do that. You know what? I'm not using a microphone today. I do have a little one that I sometimes use, but unfortunately couldn't find it. So this is actually just noise through my computer. What I am using that my boss did just get me, and I'll show you here real quick, is this little selfie light. It's kind of funny looking, but essentially that helps keep the lighting a little bit better. But that's really the only special tool I am using right now. Is a little selfie light. I'm glad the sound is coming through. Yeah, well, yeah, you actually can get these little microphones that you can like clip right here. I used to use my headphones a lot, but apparently it looked kind of goofy. So we do have a little microphone. I can get you what it was in a minute here. But right now it is just through a computer here. Cool. Yeah. Share what you guys use as well over here. Go ahead and let us know if you're a podcaster or something. Let Camilla know what types of microphones and stuff you guys use. You don't have to spend a lot of money on this stuff in order to get it go out. The software we're using, Demio, here is a really great webinar software. If you guys haven't checked it out yet and you do a lot of videos and live product updates and stuff like this, it has really upgraded our whole situation quite a bit. So definitely check them out too if you're looking for a new sort of webinar system. So going along with that tutorial, educational and how-to content is going to be awesome in order, again, to go ahead and position yourself as an expert in your industry. You want to think about what comes easy to you. Go out there and talk to your friends about, hey, what do I sound really passionate when I'm explaining to you guys? What do I actually go ahead and do that is really, really great? Cool. What do I go ahead and explain that's really something that makes sense to me, but you guys don't understand? Again, these things that make sense to you and come easy to you are things you should be talking about on social media. I remember our founder, Laura, actually did a blog post, or excuse me, a social media update about how she does her laundry. And this is something that she has systemized down to a T because she is a busy entrepreneur and she is someone who is also a mom. So she needs to get this efficient system going. And it was an amazingly long post. And it was something that isn't necessarily directly related to social media, but is related to a pain point that a lot of people have, is keeping up with your family chores and running a business and being your own boss. So think about these things that you can speak to really strongly and you can speak to with passion, and you have systems around, and create educational and how-to content. Something that we've also done around this, and I'm going to go ahead and share here, is our secret formula to blogging book. And that's going to be similar to that Social Brilliant one. And I'll go ahead and share that now here. And what this is essentially, it's just a culmination of how all of our blogging formula works, how we set a schedule, what types of information that we write about, how we brainstorm, stuff like that. And this PDF was really strong for us to be able to talk about content and how-tos and get a searchable tutorial. But what we've also done with this is we've created a landing page online that people can actually download this as a PDF. And on that landing page, we ask for an email address. So it's also a great way that we can build up our email newsletter list. And why this is so important is because forking over your email isn't an easy thing to do a lot of the times these days. So you need to think about ways that you can offer value to get an email address. So we created this book to go ahead and have people trust us a little more, saying, yes, I know you don't necessarily want to give your email address out to one more product or service. But look, I'm going to offer you this awesome book because I know it's going to add value for you. And the reason I want your email address is because I know our newsletter can continue to add value for you if this is the type of information you're looking for. So take your educational and how-to content that you're creating on your blog, that you're creating in your social media updates, and think about ways you can upcycle and repurpose this in other areas of your marketing, like to grow your email list and to grow things like that. So check that out. If you have things you can repurpose, definitely think about how you can do that from social media to like a PDF, or from a PDF broken down into different social media updates. And again, you can see on this one here, as you guys are starting to batch out all of your great information here, the things you can do for Instagram, especially Instagram is great for building community, but it can also drive traffic to your site, is to get a little pull quote from within something that is a blog post you wrote. Go ahead and overlay it on an image like in Canva, and go ahead and have that link in bio aspect to direct people to your blog post, but to still give them that information right up front and to still give them value right on Instagram. Something we also use here that I'd love for you guys to check out if you are active on sharing links on Instagram is a site called Linktree. I believe it's link.tre. Let me look that up real quick. But what this does is it allows your content to live on your feed a little bit longer, because you can go ahead and put in multiple links there. So you can have a link to your newsletter sign up, to your latest blog post, stuff like that. And when you say, check out our latest blog post, link in bio, when people click on that Linktree link, it gives them 4 or 5 different options of what they'd like to see, making sure your content lives longer than maybe it would in just the feed. So let me grab that real quick. Linktree. And I'll go ahead and put that here. If you guys are sharing blog posts or links a lot on social media, definitely check it out. And it's a great way to get your content a little bit more traffic. I want you to also think about how you can get people to come back for more. So coming back for more, yeah, we do too, Deborah. That's awesome. I'm glad you've heard about it. Giving people a reason to come back for more is what you're going to do with what we call episodic content. And this is huge on social media these days, because you want to be consistent for your followers, and you also want to make sure that they are trained to tune back in. Stories are great for this, making sure you're giving people a little bit of a teaser to say, you know, hey, every Monday I'm going to be sharing this behind the scenes content about what's going on in my business, or how I'm being more efficient, or something like that. Or every Tuesday, I'm going to be showing you a new feature of our product. So your people want to tune in every Tuesday to make sure they're keeping up to date. Or, you know, every Wednesday, we're going to share a discount in our stories. Only people who tune in the stories are going to get it. And this sort of episodic kind of recurring content is really great for getting your followers to continue to come back. So think about how you can create content, and batching helps with this. That leads from one to the next. Why batching helps with this is because you're in that frame of mind. You can go ahead and add 10 different photos to your Edgar library now and have them going out on Mondays only. Remember, when you're doing this, if you're keeping that sort of consistency within your Edgar account, you can always make your content go out on a specific day. So here, if I'm going into my Edgar account and I wanted to do an episode of saying every Tuesday I want to send out a product update or a tip Tuesday, how you're going to set that up is go into your categories tab here and click on this add new category button. Make sure you uncheck this button that says include when selecting random content to post, and go ahead and type in like your hashtag tip Tuesday category here and save it. So that's going to be a category that you're adding content to that only has to do a tip Tuesday. At which point on your schedule, you're going to only put that category on Tuesdays. So when you're clicking in here to make a new time slot, make sure you're selecting only that Tip Tuesday category. You're checking off your social media accounts that you'd like this to go to. You're clicking save. And now this appears only on Tuesdays. So that content is only going to go out on Tuesdays. So a lot of people will do this to join in like the Throwback Thursday conversation, stuff like that. And when you're batching your content, you can keep in that same frame of mind to be able to actually go on in and add all of that at once. People also like to do this for seasonal content. Edgar's pretty flexible in that way, in the way you could create a category and call it like summertime posts. And you can load up all of your summertime posts throughout the entire winter season even. at which point just keep that category off of your schedule. Just don't post at all from that category. Once the summertime comes up and is ready to be upon us, go ahead and pop into your schedule and add the category there. And you can get the benefit of Edgar recycling through your summertime posts. Once summer is over, come on in and delete any time slot that's associated with the summertime category. And those posts can still live in your library until the next season or the next promotion that you're doing. So you don't have to recreate them, but they won't send out unless that category is on your schedule. So thinking about this sort of episodic content, thinking about this sort of content that you can talk a little bit more into what's going on in the time of day is great for batching because you get into that mind frame. So get creative with your categories, get for how you're kind of going throughout that. Cool. So as we're going along here a little more, we're almost done with the slides portion. As you're starting to load your content too, if you're thinking that you're running out of ideas and you're just feeling like it's stale, I want you to already look at the content you have too. You don't have to reinvent the wheel as we were talking about. Go in and look at your Google Analytics. Go in and see what blog posts people are commenting on the most or what information they're actually engaging with the most, and create more from that. Use what works. This is kind of the clues your community is giving you on what they want to hear from you. So don't ignore it. Use your analytics, use stuff like that to actually go in and see the types of content, the types of blog posts that do well, stuff like that. And that's what's going to make you a trusted authority in your business. And guys, what I would recommend doing too is using your Facebook insights to see the type of content. So using your blog and Google Analytics to see like the topics people like, the things that people are engaging with the most there, but seeing how you can repurpose this into actual posts and the type of content on social media that your community wants to see is going to be seen in your actual insights here. So if you haven't used your insights yet, this is MeetEdgar's Facebook page, obviously, but you would go to your Facebook page. And what you're going to do is on this insights tab right up here from the top, go ahead and click the insights button. And then look over here on the left. And on this left sidebar navigation menu, you'll notice that you have this post section here. And if I go to the post section here, I can actually see a graph of when my audience is online the most. And this is a great way to start informing your schedule too. You know, as it makes sense that the majority of our community is online during work hours because obviously they're social media marketers, they're on during the workday. So we want to bucket our posts around that work time hours from that 9 to 3 period where we get that spike is where we want our most valuable content to go out. But dialing down more on this post section here, again, you go to your insights and then you go to posts. You can start to see the types of content people like. So the type of content in this section will show you if it's a link or if it's a photo or a video and how much engagement each of those got. So the reach and engagement section here is interesting. I want you to focus mostly on this engagement section. Seeing how many likes and comments things got is a much more active way of seeing what type of information people want to see. You know, that reach and stuff is a little bit more passive, but this can also start to inform your paid ad strategy. You know, if you're seeing a post get a ton of engagement, but not a lot of reach, maybe that's a post you want to put $5, $10 behind to get that reach up because you know it's actually resonating with your community. So that reach and sort of that engagement ratio here is really important to look at too, as well as what type of content. You know, video content does really well. If your links are getting clicked on, stuff like that. You know, within Edgar too, remember you can also always go to your history section here to get a little more information on that. You can see, you can always see how many clicks a link received here in this third column, this all-time clicks section. If you go ahead and click on this, it'll actually sort your history to show you like how many clicks each link received, and it'll go ahead and sort it by all-time clicks if you click here. And it's a great way to start to see what type of language you used in the post that got most clicks, what type of information your followers are really loving. And you can dive down deeper with this view performance history right here. So again, this is in your history tab. And if you click view performance history, there's an awesome way for you to also see like a graph out of when those clicks occurred, like what date they occurred on, what variation was used, how many clicks occurred then. And this is also awesome because you can see this green one up here got way more clicks than this orange one down here. And you can start to see like what variations these were. And you can go and dial in super deep to say, okay, what language did I use in that orange variation? Or you can see here, it'll show you this got the least amount of average clicks, this variation here. So you can edit this content to be able to say, okay, that didn't resonate with my community, but look at the second variation. This one got the most clicks. How did I introduce the post there? What language or what time of day was this shared? And start to dial in so deep to make sure you're speaking to your community and to make sure you're connecting with your community in the ways that they connect with. So that history section is awesome for getting a little more information, but also going into your Twitter analytics, into your Facebook insights to see a little bit more. Cool. I promise we're also done here. Keep your questions coming. Definitely appreciate you guys sticking around. This has been a ton of fun for me. But going on to the last few slides, what are you going to do with that time you got back now that you're batching your updates? What I want you to think about is, task switching and multitasking takes away about 20 minutes of time on what we call onboarding time. So if you're doing a task and you're onboarding onto a new task, it typically takes about 20 minutes to get into that flow state, to get that creativity going and stuff. So what you want to do here is to focus on getting that 20 minutes back because you've batched out those updates, is to focus on getting better at your updates, using that history function within Edgar, using your insights to ask better questions of your audience to know how to speak to them. And you can use tools like SurveyMonkey. You can Instagram DM some of your followers. You can send out a list or even heck, hop on a phone call to go ahead and connect with your followers and start asking them questions about what their pain points are, how you can help serve them better. And this is going to be a huge boost to your word of mouth marketing because think about how many brands out there aren't doing this. Yours can stand out by actually talking to your followers and getting that relationship going so much better. And again, it is a noisy place out there. So the more you can be a little more personal and get your actual personality in there, the better. You can go to your profile, you can go to your followers' profiles and see the language they use. So go ahead and go to some of your Instagram followers or go to some of your Twitter followers and see what they're talking about. See how they're describing their days, their pain points, their triumphs, the language that you're using to inform how you're speaking in your social media updates. Because if you're using language that they're not going to connect with, that update's going to be a waste. So do a little bit of creepy stalking. Don't be too creepy about it, but do a little creepy stalking on your followers with that time to see what they're talking about, to see the types of things they like to talk about so you can join in that discussion. Remember, people are going to social media to scroll through and to actually get that sort of family and friend connection. So the more your posts can emulate that, the better. So definitely go in there and see who your followers are. Think about ways you can jump on a Twitter chat to add new value to a new community. We host Twitter chats here at Edgar quite a bit, but you can also join in other ones. And that way, when you're offering value and joining that conversation, it's getting your brand handle out there to more people. It's letting them know about you. You're adding value. So it's much more likely they'll follow you back, growing your following. So all of these things that batching is going to save you time on, think about ways you can actually use that time to grow your community in really authentic ways. And this is going to be a gold mine mind shift if you're able to get this batching down, because you're going to have a handle on running your business and not your business running you. You can look ahead with clarity and strategy when it comes to your marketing, and you can put these projects and this whole marketing aspect of your business in one sphere where you have such a handle on it. And it's not just when you have time, you're making time for it because it's important. You've spent time on your product or service. So it's important to get the word out there about it. So you want to wake up excited every day about the possibility to dream a little bit bigger than just a to-do list. So batching your updates and batching your whole business strategy around this is really great so that you're not distracted by these urgent tasks. And protect that time. Put a time block on your calendar and don't let people disturb you. Treat it as you had a meeting or an appointment with someone. And don't be afraid to tell people if someone invites you to lunch, but it's your social media batching time. If you have that on your calendar, you know what? It's so much easier to say, I'm sorry, I have an appointment. I can't do that time. Can I do it another time? And this way you're respecting your time in your business, and you don't have to explain that it's just you and your computer sitting there. You could have made an exception, but you need to protect this batching time because it's going to make such a huge difference. So put it on as an appointment so you can say to people who are pulling you away from your important batching tasks, I have an appointment. Can we do it some other time? And this is going to be huge for freeing up your time. And like with everything in life, guys, the more you persevere and the more you get into this and the more you find out how it works for you, the more systemized and better this is going to be. And little by little, you can start to engage with your posts. You know, every time people respond, you're responding back to them because you've batched up your updates. So you have time to do this. So as you get into this, like I said, there's different ways to do the batching. You can either batch out by category, jumping into your Edgar account and saying, you know, every Monday of the month, I'm going to add 10 quotes. Every Tuesday of the month, I'm going to add 10 blog posts. Every Wednesday of the month, I'm going to add 10 curated pieces of content. Or you can do this all at once. You can say, you know what, Mondays for 4 hours, I am going to spend writing my updates so I can get into this creative space, so I can stay on task, stuff like that. And it's an awesome way. Again, it's got to work for your schedule, but any way you can batch anything in your business, you're going to see your efficiency rate skyrocket. And you want to think about doing this little by little as well, because as you do get overwhelmed learning a new software, if you're new to Edgar, definitely let us know if you have questions. Like I said, I can hop on a one-on-one screen share with you at any time. But think about the ways of running a marathon and how it seems like a crazy goal at the beginning to fill your library with that many updates or to run 26 miles. But if you follow your batching training plan or if you follow your running plan, you're slowly going to get there. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens with that consistent commitment to your business. And I know you guys can do it. So like I said, if you're just starting out and your library is empty, just make a goal of adding 10 updates every single month to your categories, and your library is going to grow exponentially before you know it. So I also want to kind of point out what I love from a book that's called The One Thing. And if you're having trouble still conceptualizing this batching aspect, if you ask yourself and you want to say, you know, social media doesn't seem like the right thing I should be batching this month, I have so much else going on, that's great. You've identified that you can spend time on something else. So later on, you can add more. You don't have to worry about your feeds not being fed, since Edgar will do that for you. But you can ask yourself, if I only had one thing to do this week to make the biggest impact for my business, what would that be? And batch that out. This is going to be so nice for you, again, to come home with a sense of fulfillment that you got something so important done, that you didn't just answer emails and get distracted and do the easy things, that you actually went in there and did the powerful things to make a difference. So ask yourself that, what's one thing I can do today such that everything else will be easier or unnecessary, and use that as the thing you're going to batch. Hopefully social media will come up eventually because, again, brand building and getting all of that out there is a really great way to do that. Yeah, Betty, I do too. I actually read it last year and I really want to reread it. It's such an inspirational book if you guys haven't read it. And it's a great way to turn around any sort of distraction or anything like that that's keeping you from doing the important things in your business. And multitasking really doesn't work. As we were speaking about, it really does take you away from being creative and getting it in that flow state. So you want to take your to-do list into a success list by batching everything out, having goals and strategy set in place, achieving those goals slowly and surely, and moving your business along. Because as it comes down to it, running a business isn't easy. We know that. And you guys are doing an amazing job by taking time out of your day to actually come to a content batching party and learn these systems. So give yourself a pat on the back for that. And always feel free, like I said, to email support@meetedgar.com. We can always meet on a screen share, stuff like that. And as we kind of go throughout these last few slides, I also want you to make a commitment to your business to go ahead and make sure you're increasing your trust, you're increasing your community and leadership by looking at all your updates that you batched today. So going back into your library and using a filter saying, you know, what does make some brands stand out on social media? It is that servant leadership sort of attitude. It is that we are here to serve you. We are doing this as a free content batching party for you guys because we want to see you succeed so much. So think how you can take that same thing out to your followers. Think how your status updates are building trust. Think how they're relating to your followers, having that audience persona in mind. Think how they're adding value to their day, and think how you can commit to them in an empathetic way, knowing that they have pain points, but your product or service can actually solve those pain points. So it is your mission to get that out there. It is almost like they need you, so make sure the status updates are going out to them. Other things that makes brands stand out is creating a sense of community and belonging. We are hardwired as humans to want to belong to a community. So when you're able to create a brand that people believe in, and again, that trust factor comes from actually putting it out there as you as a person, and you create this captivating content consistently over and over, getting those 7 touch points with someone on social media, getting your different types of updates out there, that's what's going to make your brand stand out. When community members trust you, and especially for something like, say you're a real estate agent, not everyone is ready to buy a house right away, but if you're continuously offering value, curating content around how you buy a house, how you decorate a house, adding inspirational content into how you save for a house, stuff like that, when it comes time for someone to buy, your name's going to be top of mind because you've been connecting with them in a meaningful way over social media. So everyone's on a different brand journey. Some people are ready to buy right away. Some people need a little bit more time. And this sort of brand building and creating a sense of community and helping each other out will help you stand out when it does become time for them to buy your product or service. So captivate people with your content and be consistent with it. If you're not sharing on a daily basis, people aren't going to want to follow your feed. So make sure that you're setting up your Edgar schedule to do this. And make sure you know how to delegate when you're batching too. If you guys have an assistant, I've seen some chatter about an assistant over in the chat box over there. Make sure that you're delegating out the tasks that you need to as well, so you can stay in your genius zone, whether that is going to be you actually going out there and being creative and creating more blog posts or more status updates. Or maybe your genius zone is actually going to not be the social media side of things. It's more the business and analytics and sort of money financial side of things. Delegate out what you're good at. Make a list of things that you want to do, what you can't do, and what you should not be doing, and start to get these tasks out there. I know if you are a team of one that this may seem silly, but also dream a little bit bigger to have these systems in place for when your business does grow and when you are ready to add on more people and assistants to your team. Having these things outlined, like on Mondays, we batch our social media updates and this is how we do it, is a great way to be able to know that you have your systems in place, writing it out so you can share that as you go along. Okay, so we've come to the end of the slides here. Definitely pop in and let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to stay on for a few more minutes here. Yeah, we will go ahead and put the handouts up on our Skillshare site on LinkedIn. And we'll also go ahead and email out the recording of this if you went ahead and registered. So definitely be on the lookout for that. It's definitely really exciting that we're going to be starting to do these on a monthly basis too. So I'd love to hear your feedback. If you want to go ahead and email support@meetedgar.com if there's anything that you wanted to do differently here. We can spend some more time obviously batching next time. This being the first one, we definitely wanted to just get the concept down of what batching was a little bit stronger. But I'd love to hear your feedback on what would be more helpful for you next month if you'd like to come back. So support@meetedgar.com would be a great place to hear that feedback. And like I said too, we love to go ahead and help get your account set up. So if you ever want to meet on a screen share with me, I am happy to do that. There is one more download I'm going to share here that I forgot to share with the Social Brilliant ebook, and this is our Social Brilliant calendar. This is a great way, again, if you are going to go ahead and batch things out in Edgar, but maybe you're on a plane or you like that pencil and paper sort of writing out, this is a great way to go ahead and like write out all of your blog posts, stuff like that on a sheet of paper, and then you can transfer it over. I'm a little old school sometimes too. I like to do things pencil and paper to kind of have it in my memory a lot of the time. So definitely go ahead and do that. I'm so glad that you're less lost, Beth, and definitely let us know if you do have any other questions there. Yeah, Deborah, me too. Pen and paper girl all the way. Guys, I really loved having this webinar with you guys, so please let us know your feedback and come back next month. We also have a lot of really exciting webinars coming up with Maura and some guest people in the next month or so, so keeping your eye on your email to register for those. And I'm happy to share my screen and kind of go over anything else, Edgar. If you guys have questions still about adding content or anything like that, go ahead and pop them in the chat, and I'll stick around for a few more minutes here. And we can look at other things in the account if we didn't touch on a question that you do have too. Thanks, Bruce. That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for joining, Randy and Lisa. It was really fun having this today. As you know, here at Edgar, we're so passionate about making sure small businesses succeed. So super fun. Ashley, awesome. No worries. Don't have to apologize here. Will you be able to auto-publish Instagram? So yes, we are working on getting direct posting. What happens on Instagram is you actually have to apply for this. So we're in the application process to get approved by them. So we don't have an exact date. What I'll go ahead and do here is, this is our updates blog. And we'll, of course, email all of you guys when direct posting becomes available. But this right here is our updates blog, where we go ahead and put out any new features that we release. And we'll, of course, announce there when direct posting is available. So fingers crossed that they'll approve us, and we'll get that soon for you guys. But definitely let us know any other feature requests that you have. Whether it be around Instagram or anything else, we love to hear them. support@meetedgar.com is a great place to share them. We do build out our roadmap based on user feedback quite a bit. In our Slack channel, we have a customer feedback section that we share all of the feedback that the support inbox gets, stuff like that. So please keep it coming. We love to make sure that we're building a product that's most helpful to our community. The slides will be on LinkedIn's Skillshare. Skillshare, is that it? Shoot, I am so bad at this. SlideShare, I think it is. Yeah, SlideShare. So LinkedIn has a site called SlideShare that's really awesome. And I'll actually go ahead and upload them right now as we speak. Log in with SlideShare account. So I'm going to go ahead and log in and upload these here. But if you just Google, if you're not able to stay, just Google MeetEdgar SlideShare, and all of our slides from like past webinars and stuff are up there as well. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and upload these. This will take probably like 2 minutes here. And I'll share the link in here, but if you do just go ahead and Google MeetEdgar SlideShare, our account will come up. You don't have to have an account on that to do it. 84% uploaded. 1 second, guys. Batching party. Category, social media. Public. All right. There we go. Publish. All right, so here we go. Here is the link to where the slides are. Oh, thanks, Maura. Awesome, you already got it. So that second link there will go ahead and be the slides directly there. But yeah, check out all of our other slides as well. We do a lot of webinars, like I said, and they'll always be up there for you if you ever wanted to check them out again. Definitely keep the questions coming. Happy to stay on and share my screen with an Edgar account if you guys have any questions also. Or if you're struggling to come up with any ideas for like quotes or tips or anything like that, definitely let us know and we can brainstorm and kind of bump some ideas back and forth for creating your creation story to go ahead and connect with your community, adding your how-to tutorials, stuff like that. All right, well, it looks like maybe that is it today. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day. If anything pops up, please email support@meetedgar.com, or please go ahead and reach out to us on social media, DM us on Instagram. If you liked what you saw today, go ahead and shout out to us on Twitter or on Instagram. We love to hear those shout outs, and we typically give away a little bit of swag to people who tag us on those networks. So definitely join in the conversation there. Like I said, we'll see you next month. If you want to come back, I'd really love to have you again. Thanks so much for joining today, guys, and have an awesome afternoon.